Many students attending camps this summer will rely on school buses to get there. A CBS News investigation explores the lack of federal regulations in the process to find school bus drivers. There are nearly 22,000 school bus crashes every year. On average, about 10 students are hurt each day. Kris Van Cleave investigated the dangers associated with the people who drive your kids every morning. Kris, good morning.
Good morning. Since school bus drivers are hired by individual school districts, oversight can vary widely. Our investigation found it can lead to problems that run much deeper than traffic accidents.
When you're raising a child, your job is to, make sure nothing happens to them.
This father, who asked we not reveal his identity, struggles to even talk about the day in 2015 when his 15-year-old daughter was taken to this hotel in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and was raped by her school bus driver. Our CBS News investigation found on average, at least once a week, a school bus driver is arrested for
I caught a big whiff of alcohol.
Driving under the influence.
And what was on that computer?
Some underage pictures.
Or child pornography. Or sexually assaulting a child. For many, it's not their first offense.
It was shocking to find out that, the record this guy had.
The girl's driver, Alexander Rodriguez, had a previous felony conviction for possession of drugs and a weapon in a school zone. A background check determined he was ineligible for hire, but he got the job anyway. We found many examples of drivers hired in spite of a history of dangerous accidents, felonies, or multiple DUIs. Like this driver in Wisconsin, arrested in December for driving a school bus while under the influence of drugs. Her third DUI charge.
Parents really need to be asking who's driving their children.
Steve Gersten is a transportation attorney. He says federal safety rules that apply to commercial bus or truck drivers do not apply on school buses because school districts are exempt from driver qualification, hours of service, and vehicle maintenance regulations.
Why do we require drivers to be safer to drive lettuce to stores than to drive our children to school?
No national statistics appear to exist on school bus drivers who are charged with breaking the law, so we reached out to every state to get them. Only Connecticut and Delaware track all drivers arrested on the job. And while 21 states told us no bus drivers had been arrested for DUI in the past 3 years, we obtained 39 police reports from those states showing otherwise. Hiring enough drivers is not easy. Last year, 90% of school districts reported a shortage of bus drivers, in part due to low pay, split shifts, and a lack of benefits. Durham School Services, which hired Rodriguez, operates in 32 states and turns to Craigslist to find applicants, even cold calling former drivers.
I got a phone call from my old job. They were offering me my job back because they were short. $12.80 an hour. You can get up here quickly.
Kelly Shane Hooper took a job in Kansas while under investigation in Texas for multiple charges of child pornography. And since many districts contract out operation of buses, school officials often do not even know who's driving, as the principal explained to the father in Chattanooga.
He said, if someone were to kill the bus driver on the way into the school and just hijack the bus and drive up, we'd put the kids on because we wouldn't know any difference.
Patrick James Frederickson did steal a Utah school bus in 2015. A convicted sex offender, he was out on parole. On the bus, a list of students and their home addresses. He even tried unsuccessfully to pick up some of those students.
It could have been bad.
Frederickson was arrested. Rodriguez pleaded guilty to statutory rape and was sentenced to probation, leaving this parent demanding more be done.
At what point do you say, as a society, we need a higher standard?
There was one very disturbing piece of video in that story. The boy on the bicycle, he did survive. The bus driver stayed on the job after that crash. Now, some members of Congress have proposed efforts to better regulate school bus drivers, and those bills all died in committee in recent years. All of our requests for interviews were refused, but the industry says school buses are still the safest way to transport your children to school.
How did you do all this reporting?
We had to go state by state and put in multiple records requests. My really wonderfully talented producer, Megan Toohey, it was hours and hours of it. And in some cases, you would hear the Department of Education, for example, in Pennsylvania, say we have no reports of bus drivers being arrested for DUI. The state police then gave us reports of school bus drivers being arrested for DUI.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Very,
really great.
very
And your
reporting.
team.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's such a rite of passage riding the school bus, and to think that, I like what he said, you give more attention to people driving lettuce than you do your children. That's very, very
It's shocking.
Thank you, Kris.
messed up. Thank you, Kris.